The department did not believe the biological link between the children and the mother. There was a typhoon bearing down on Manila. Time was not on our side. The family have now come out, and it's been really quite helpful to have the entire family in the house with all the kids. So the case is about trying to reunite a family for a wedding in Australia on the south coast in New South Wales. The bride was a Filipino citizen who is in Australia at the moment, waiting for her temporary partner visa to be granted. Her and her Australian citizen husband had a young child, a baby, and they wanted to have an Australian wedding and a Filipino wedding. To ensure that the weddings in both countries meant something to both of them, they wanted to each have special family from their respective countries. And the plan was that the bride would have her sister, would be her matron of honour, and her niece would be her flower girl. So everything was going to plan. The visas were lodged in time for the wedding, but nothing seemed to be happening. And then one day we got the grant for the mother, and we were just waiting for the kids basically to roll over, and we got a request for more information. And the request indicated that the department did not believe that the children, so the flower girl and her brother, weren't the biological children of the mother. In order to address that, the department wanted to see records of the birth, which was a little bit crazy because they were asking for things like photos, and they wanted scans that would have occurred during the pregnancy for each of these children. Now, the family actually live in a province. To get from the province just to Manila is a 13-hour treacherous bus ride. In those types of areas in Manila, births happen in what they call a birthing centre. So you literally go in, you give birth, you pick up the baby, and you go home. So what we had to do was try and get as much of that documentation as possible. What made that more challenging at the time was there was a typhoon bearing down on Manila, and everyone was basically had gone into state issued instructions that everyone was to go into a lockdown. So there was no opportunity for the documentation to, one, be located, and two, to be notarized to the accepted level of the department. Time was not on our side, and so we did the best we could, and we got as much documentation, clear quality scans, explained the situation and how it was completely outside the control of our visa applicants and the family, and lodged that documentation with the department. Ultimately, the department said no. It left the family with a really challenging decision as to, do we push again in order to try and get them here for the wedding, or do we just focus on having the wedding and then try and get them here later? In the end, the decision was made. It was so stressful that they would wait and just have the wedding, unfortunately, without the bride's family, but we decided to lodge again. Now, considering the refusal decision explicitly said the department did not believe that we had proved the biological link between the children and the mother, we decided to take it to the nth degree. So it could be irrefutable when it came to the department looking at the evidence. So all of the evidence we supplied in the first application, we supplied again, but it was all notarized. We also went and got statements from both of the midwives that delivered both children to confirm the parentage of those children, and their statements were notarized. We also got their registration with the Filipino government, confirming that they were registered and authorized midwives, and got those documents notarized. And then the family also made the trek into Manila and had DNA testing, not just of the children and the mother. We also got the father to attend as well, so as that they could do full DNA testing at a DNA site provider that is authorised, approved by the department. Those results came back and said that these children were 99.916 times to prove the biological link. That, in addition to every other piece of documentation we provided, meant that those visas were granted to the children. The children's visas, when granted, the expiry date for those matched the end date on the mother, so there was no discrepancy that the kids would be able to still keep coming and she couldn't. So everyone ended up with visas that had the same end date. And luckily, what's happened is, in the meantime of that visa process going on, the Australian sponsor had to go and have a double knee reconstruction. So the family have now come out, and it's been really quite helpful to have the entire family in the house with all the kids all helping each other in the recovery after surgery.